The New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian says she will consider a coroner's recommendation that pill testing be conducted at music festivals, but she doesn't expect the government's position to change. At the conclusion of the inquest into the deaths of 6 young people, Deputy State Coroner Harriet Grahame today formally called on the government to trial pill testing this summer and scrap police dogs at festivals. She's also calling for police power to conduct strip searches be watered down, saying it heightened the risk of harm through practices like panic ingestion. Ms Berejiklian says she hasn't yet received the report, but her position is clear.
If there are ways in which we can reduce harm to young people, of course we'll consider those. We have a strong view that pill testing is not the way. In fact, Dan Andrews and I are together on this one. Both of us represent the largest states in the nation. We have the same view on this. But there are lots of ways in which we can, of course, improve safety, reduce risk of death or harm for young people, and there's certainly opportunities for us to look at that.
The mother of one of the teenage girls whose death prompted the inquest says the state needs to ensure no more lives are lost. Here's Glenn Lauder.
The Deputy State Coroner Harriet Grahame has at times become emotional handing down her findings into the deaths of 6 people at music festivals across New South Wales between 2017 and 2019. She's been particularly scathing of New South Wales Police, identifying in her inquest findings that things like police sniffer dogs and also strip searches can actually increase the risk of harm as opposed to minimising it by way of things like panic ingestion, where young people will take more drugs than they were planning to in a short space of time for fear of getting caught. Now, the families of these 6 victims have been in court, and the Deputy State Coroner has offered her heartfelt condolences to them as she implored the Premier, Gladys Berejiklian, to look at creating a drug summit where things particularly like pill testing will be discussed. She wants pill testing in at least a trial form introduced as early as this summer, in the hope that any more tragedies won't be repeated. And outside court, some of the victims' families have reacted to the news and the findings of Deputy State Coroner Harriet Grahame.
Firstly, my utmost respect for the coroner. What she has done here is going to save someone's life. That is, if our elected officials take on these recommendations. And I think, for me, the next step is what's next. Let's start to implement these recommendations and, as Mick just suggested, pill testing immediately. Someone else's child is not going to come home, and I don't want that for anybody. Nobody should ever have to go through what we have gone through here and what we're going to spend the rest of our lives going through.
This issue cannot be ignored. We know lives depend on it. We ask those who have the ability to effect change to put aside politics and the popular vote and to make a decision to keep our kids safe.
And among the Deputy State Coroner's other recommendations, better education in schools as to the risks of MDMA. She heard evidence from one of the friends of the victims saying they had nothing other than Happy Healthy Harold in primary school to tell them of the dangers, and that the message of just say no isn't good enough because young people will ingest drugs regardless of that message. They need to know, the Deputy State Coroner says, how best to react if something goes awry.